What's happening, everybody? Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel, the Boss Sports Network. Thank you guys for the continued support. Continue to hit the like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because, what I'm saying, we upload every single day. We do this all the time. And I'm here today to talk about why the Clippers think they are better without Montrezl Harrell. Now, Montrezl Harrell has come out and said, a lot of people have been asking him, why did you sign with the Lakers? Right? Like you signed with the Lakers for 2 years, 19 million. You're the sixth man of the year. A lot of people thought Montrezl Harrell would command 15, 18, maybe $20 million per year to sign with another team if he wasn't going to go back to the Clippers. But instead, he signed with the Lakers for a little more than like 8 million a year, 9 million a year, like something like that, like a little bit over 9 million a year. 2 years, 19 million. And here's why the Clippers didn't want Trezz back. Well, part of it was because of locker room stuff. Trezz wasn't a fan of Paul George. It's all out there now. Montrezl Harrell felt like Paul George was being treated like a superstar, and he wasn't a superstar. He felt like he was getting the treatment that he didn't earn, right? I don't think Montrezl really cared for Kawhi Leonard either. And I don't think him signing with the Lakers says a lot about that. It says that he didn't want to go back to that environment. And maybe they didn't want him back in that environment. I mean, that also brings because we're talking about a six man of the year, only $9 million a year. Like, that's it. And the thing, I thought Montrez would leave the Clippers, right? Like, after he won six man of the year, he averaged 18 a game. I thought he would leave the Clippers because he would get a big payday from someone, and the Clippers just simply wouldn't match it. I thought he was going to get upwards of, like I said, 15, 18, $20 million per year for what he accomplished. The reason why I thought that is because a guy like Tristan Thompson got $80 million after winning the championship with LeBron James, 4 years, $80 million. And he was a player similar to Montrezl Harrell, limited, but can play. Right, hustle, rebound. But Trezz is a way better scorer than Tristan Thompson was back then and was now. But what Trezz got is similar to what a deal that Tristan Thompson got this year, right? Like, and that's not what you normally see from a guy coming off his rookie contract. Now, here's the thing. So here's a couple things. First of all, the Clippers feel like they're better because Trezz, like I said, was a limited player. Trezz doesn't have much of a handle. Trezz can't shoot. Trezz is all hustle, all energy, all tenacity, all get in your face. Like, that's what you pay Montrezl Harrell for. You're not paying him to knock down shots. You're not paying him to set up, run your offense through him, to run your offense. You pay him for offensive rebounds. You pay him for tenacity to get in the other people's face. You pay him to be an enforcer. You pay him to make energy plays, energy hustle plays on the glass, block shots, help defense. Like, that's what you pay Montrezl Harrell for. You don't pay him to knock down shots, though. And the Clippers can do without that. The Clippers need shot creators, shot makers, and really need a point guard. They really need someone to really run their offense. That's where they struggled last year. And you're not going to get that out of Montrezl Harrell. So they let him walk, and they bring back Serge Ibaka, a guy who averaged 15 points a game, a guy who's pretty good at rebounding, a guy who stretches the floor. I think Serge is almost a 40% three-point shooter last year, 39%. That is what the Clippers can live with, especially after losing Jermichael Green. Jermichael Green was your stretch four. You lose him to, I think, either Denver or Detroit. One of them picked up Jermichael Green. So you need to replace that. So you go out and get a knockdown shooter, a big who is a knockdown shooter. Now, Serge Ibaka isn't the defensive presence that he used to be. He isn't a blocker like he used to be 4, 5, 6 years ago, right? Like, he isn't that guy. But he's a way better offensive player. His offensive game has come leaps and bounds since he was Serge Ibaka, right? Like, since he was making all defensive teams, right? He's not that guy, but you have defenders. You have your Pat Bevs, you have your Paul Georges, you have Kawhi Leonard. You need Serge. He can still protect the rim at times, but you need Serge to stretch the floor. And for the Clippers, the reason why you got a guy that can stretch the floor, and you had to get rid of Trezz because he was rebelling against these guys' tactics, what was taking place in the locker room, right? He wasn't standing for it, and you can't work with that. Like, that at this point, like, it's championship or bust, the Clippers. You trade all your assets to get Paul George. You bring in Kawhi Leonard. You get rid of Doc Rivers, Mr. Always losing 3-1. Like, you get rid of Doc. Like, that means you're trying to win a championship. It is championship or bust, and it is the last year guaranteed under contract for Paul, for Kawhi. Like, this is the last year they have guaranteed. So you have to win a championship. Like, that's the only thing that you can do. You have to win it. Like, there's no excuse, nothing else. You have to win a championship. So that's why it is crucial, super crucial for your team to win. And that's why I think they got better. Now, let's look at Trezz's side of the thing. He felt like the Clippers didn't want him, and I don't think they did. I think they were willing to let him walk, and they did, and that's why that price was so cheap. But see, here's why Trezz would also, because I definitely still think, even though he struggled in the bubble, Montrezl did struggle in the bubble. He struggled guarding Jokic. He struggled getting his wind under him but when he came back to the bubble, struggled. He didn't average the same amount of points, didn't average the same amount of rebounds. He wasn't getting the same amount of minutes. Like, a lot of things were a struggle. But part of that was the fact that this team chemistry on the Clippers last year was horrible, right? The fact that Paul George and mainly Kawhi Leonard load managed every other game was horrible. It came back to bite them. Think about this. I mean, we all went to school, right? Imagine if you're in a class, right? And you were in a class 10 weeks or 12 weeks. And out of those 10 weeks, you're assigned to do a group project with the same group every week. One group project a week, the same group every single week. And one person who's super smart, right? Like, might be the smartest person in the group, but misses 5 of the 10 weeks, right? But when they come in those other 5 weeks, they might be the smartest person and they might get the job done. But it's going to be resentment from those other group members. Like, yo, why in the hell does this person get to miss 5 out of the 10 weeks or 4 out of the 10 weeks while the rest of us are doing all the work? The rest of us, we're still getting A's. The Clippers were the number 2 seed in the West. We're still getting our job done. Some of us are overachieving. Some of us, we're figuring out that some guys or some of us in this group are smarter than what was perceived. They were actually better than what they thought. But this other guy or other 2 guys get to come in and out whenever they want. There's going to be some resentment by people in the group. And that's what took place with the Clippers. Montrezl saw Kawhi, and especially Paul George, who folded in the playoffs, but especially Paul George saw these guys and was like, man, what the hell? They're not as smart as they think. And we're in this group or a group project, and we can't never get our chemistry together because 2 of our smartest people, our best players, are never here. So obviously there's going to be some resentment towards that. Obviously. And that's what happened with Trezz. It was just like, what the hell's going on? Like, how can we just excuse this and act like this is okay? Act like this is fine. Act like this is cool. It's not. So I'm willing to get out of this situation. I'm willing. Me and my agent, Rich Paul, Mr. Clutch Sports. What Rich Paul probably told Trezz was, okay, you can go and get 50 million, 60 million, or whatever, and go play for the Pistons, or go play for, the Atlanta Hawks. Some of these teams are just giving away money, or go play for, some bum team, the Orlando Magic or something. You can get 70 million on the market and go play for one of them, or 60 million, maybe, whatever. Or maybe your stock isn't as hot, right? Maybe your stock isn't as hot because the last image that people saw you was you losing 3-1 to the Denver Nuggets, and Jokic going to work on you. Jokic was taking you to class, all right? So maybe that was the last image a lot of teams, and maybe they weren't willing to give Trezz the money that he felt like he deserved coming off a 6th Man of the Year award. So what Rich Paul probably told him is, look at what happens when you play with LeBron James. You get paid, right? Every player who in the history of the NBA that's ever played with LeBron James, they got to win. Most of them got to play a chance to play in the finals, and they got paid. Rondo and Rondo, dang, I'm losing, and Kentavious Caldwell Pope are 2 examples from this year alone, and Avery Bradley. Those are 3 examples from this year alone. They got paid because why? They went and played with LeBron. They won them a championship, and they showed their value for a contending team. And that is what other teams want to do. So what Rich Paul probably told Montrezl Harrell was, you can go and get maybe your value, his value stock might have been shot at this point. It's like, yeah, your stock shot because the last image people saw was Jokic going to work on you and Michael Porter Jr. dunking on your ass. Like, maybe that's the last image a lot of teams had of you. But how we can raise your market, your value in the market, you come play, you sign a 2-year deal, 1-1 essentially, sign a 2-year deal with LeBron James and the Lakers. You go win you a championship, prove your worth. Even if your numbers aren't the same, you might not average 18 a game again. You might only average 12 or 14 or 15. It might not be the 18 to 19 you was having last year, but you prove your worth, you play hard, You prove your worth, maybe improve your jump shot a little bit, but even if you don't, it's okay. You prove your worth, and we will get you paid. Look at Rondo, who's a lot older than you. Look at Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's around the age you will be after the second year. And if you do a 1-and-1, you can opt out next year, and we'll get you paid on the market. And that's why Trezz signed with the Lakers. It only makes sense. That's why. And that's why the Clippers feel like they got better losing Trezz, and why Trezz is willing to take somewhat of a pay cut to sign with the Lakers, to that way he can hit the jackpot either next season or the year after. Those are my thoughts on that. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss Channel. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to the Black Boss Channel. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. I'll see you guys next time.